Super. Well, welcome to the next exciting episode of Made by You, the podcast. I'm your host, Dani, as you know, and today I have quite of an interesting topic for you. So today we're going to talk about setting the pace. And what does that really mean? If you've ever wondered how to maintain a healthy lifestyle while working and how to stay active and maintain your creativity and productivity, this episode is exactly for you. We'll be diving into these topics today with my guest, Eduardo. So I'll be introducing him with a few words because he has been doing so much. Then I think the episode will not be enough. But Edu is originally from Italy, and he has been living in Prague recently, working for our Central European business of Mars. And now he has a new exciting role as a European pricing manager for Mars. So he'll probably tell us also a bit about that. But before this, one fun fact about him is actually he has been casted for a Netflix TV show some time ago, but he has obviously preferred and chose the chocolate and pet care career over acting. So I'm very happy to have him today. And Edo, if I haven't missed something, then I suggest we have a little game before we start with some ice-breaking questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Thanks a lot for the nice words and the beautiful introduction. So yeah, ready for the game. Good to be here and be hosted by you, Danny. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Super. I hope I didn't reveal too much about your acting skills, but today we're going to be deep diving into your sports hobbies. So I hope this is also super interesting for everyone who is listening.
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit better in that than acting, probably. So let's stick with that.
All right. Then our first ice-breaking question for you would be, if you were to have a superpower, what would that be? Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, I mean, like intuitively, I would say probably flying. I think is quite common, but I was thinking about that recently, and actually, I'm very passionate about, like the Avengers and Marvel. And I was thinking, are you familiar with Banda? Like she can manipulate energy, and
Yes.
actually, she can also fly because of that. So I think it would be like, like twice the advantage with only one superpower. So I would say manipulating the energy. Also, when you're extremely lazy, for instance, you're on the couch, you want to get some drinks from the fridge. You can open the fridge with that manipulation and do that. So I think this is quite useful for your life.
I think you have thought about this in much detail and with a lot of consideration of what you can get the most of this superpower.
Yeah, I was assessing pros and cons of every superpower, and I came out with this.
I see. So if you're faced with this decision, I don't have to worry about you. You have an answer. Great.
Yeah. Come to me. I can apply some like discount for my consultancy about superpowers. Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. Okay, but then thinking about this and your very thorough consideration of superpowers, I have to ask you, if you were to choose, if you can do everything at once or one thing extremely well, what would be out of those two choices?
This is a bit more complicated, because I don't know if you have the same feeling. Sometimes you are into some conversation and they're talking about the topic and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? And you don't know. So I don't like that feeling. But at the same time, for me, it's very important to be helpful for people in some sphere. And I feel that if you can do one thing extremely well, you become the go-to person for that specific topic. So I think that even though I would hate myself not to know something about certain topics for the rest of my life, I would choose the second one and do one thing extremely well so that I can support people with that.
Okay, I see. I think that's a good answer. I would probably still choose, to know a little bit of everything, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes, like too much knowledge is difficult to manage at some point. So I rather keep it simple, probably.
That makes sense. And you probably need a different superpower to manage all this knowledge.
Yeah,
So
I have my energy already, like I can manipulate things. I can grab books with my energy superpower and start reading about other things. So you
what
see,
else
it
do you need?
makes
That's
it makes
it.
sense.
Okay, but now that we know a little bit about you and your superpowers, we're going to dive into the topic of our conversation today. And I'm sure everyone is quite curious to hear about your fitness goals, about your healthy living, and how do you really keep that work-life balance as well, having a career at Mars and how Mars supports you in this journey. So, in order to start with this, I suggest that we spin the wheel for some questions and let's see what we get for you today.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we have our first question for you, and
Okay.
we're just really wondering to know about what are your fitness goals, because we've been talking about fitness a lot, and how does Mars support you in achieving them? I think that would be very interesting for everyone to hear.
Yeah, so just a bit of context about myself. I've been playing sports all my life. I've tried different activities. I grew up playing team sports, and that helped me a lot. But most recently, I transitioned toward individual sports. So I've done a bit of powerlifting competition and then also fitness competition. So overall, recently, my goal is related to weightlifting and in general to keep my fitness level high, and specifically I also compete in men physique competition, which is a category of the bodybuilding discipline, and this is like my most recent fitness goal that I've had. So it's quite a niche one, I know.
Yeah.
So but overall my goal is to keep myself healthy, and I think that Mars is a great employer in order to support towards this goal, because I think it starts, like from the unique culture that this company has, which always promotes and focuses a lot on putting the person in the center. Like, so there is this strong priority on the individualization, and so by doing that, Mars allows us to do two things. The first one is to invest in our self awareness, which is our what. So. It enables you to understand what are your goals, what are your passions, like to get to know yourself at a deeper level. And so I got to know more about me, like, and
Yeah.
how and what are my priorities in life, which is not only related to sport but also to other one. And I think this is quite unique, and it's something that I appreciate about Mars a lot. And the second level, which I think is even more important, is how the company supports you, and I think is towards the kind of relationship that you can develop with your line managers and with your peers, because this individualization is a priority for the company. And so the way I can approach my line manager is very unique, because I feel comfortable at being myself in the company. I feel comfortable at sharing that I have this fitness goal, and they actually want to help me to achieve them, like, so to
Yeah.
embrace a routine. This is allowing me to be productive at work, but at the same time to achieve my goal, which are outside from Mars. And one thing that I really like, and I think it's a very good instance of this, is that the company is built around like five core principles. One of those is responsibility. And as long as you have the personal responsibility to achieve your goals and to perform and deliver in a good qualitative way, you have the flexibility to, like to build your routine and to have your schedule, which is also around your other goals. So I think that Mars in this sense is unique, because it's not the typical, like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever company, but is allowing you this flexibility, and also, let's say, a bit out of the box way of conceiving the interaction with people in order to achieve also this external goal. And I will give you a simple example, which is quite fun. I spoke with my line manager about my competition, which was coming like earlier in this year. And actually, I told them that I needed to do some cardio in order to,
Yeah.
like get shredded. And I told them that actually I bought a stationary bike, and I built this kind of stationary desk in front of the bike. And I started to get like one-to-one conversation with them from the bike, so that I could be multitasking and, like, do my meeting, and at the same time I could also like pursue my fitness goal, which I think it's quite cool, and I think it's quite unique, because you wouldn't expect a line manager, like, to tell you, yeah, it's cool. You can take meeting from the stationary bike and talk, as long as you are performing. So I think this is a good way to help us.
Wow, this is such a good insight, and also so interesting that you're actually doing that. I think many of us, especially with work from home and having our offices at home, are really finding difficult to also incorporate these physical exercises and activities. So it's very interesting you're sharing that you've been encouraged by your manager, and in fact, you have been taking meetings even from your bike. I
Yeah.
think that's worth seeing how it works. So definitely.
I mean, we can record another episode directly from the bike if you want, but yeah, it's cool, because actually it's important that you can be yourself in the relationship with your line managers and also with your peers, and you feel comfortable at sharing this passion, not feeling judged, which is amazing, and it's a unique trait of Mars.
Wow, amazing. And Edu, you shared a bit about your background in sports and your hobbies, and it seems like you're really also building that habit of yours for quite some time. So I was just curious to tell me a little bit more about why staying active is so important for you, and how did you transfer this in your career?
I mean, like, this is more than a passion for me, like, I also incorporated some study in parallel with my career. And in fact, I recently got a master in nutrition, and I think that I became more and more sensitive to the topic, like, it generated kind of a bias towards that, but at the same time it made me more efficient and more proactive towards, like, keeping both of these priorities in my life, and try to achieve them simultaneously. So um, I think that for me, first of all, it became very relevant because, we have a life outside from work, and
Yeah.
being healthy is the priority, probably number one for our life. Like, if you mess up a presentation, you can probably redo the slides or undo what you have made wrong. But if you start to messing up with your health, it's a bit more complicated to go back. So
Yeah.
I started from that, and there are plenty of things that we like to do. Danny, like, I love hiking, for instance. I want to be physically active in order to be able to do that. So, like, so my health is an enabler for me, first of all, to achieve my other priorities in life. That's priority number one and point number one. The second one is that I don't want to go in too many details, because I could talk for hours probably, but there are many studies and a lot of literature on the fact that actually being physically active is enabling our cognitive function to perform better. So both from a psychological point of view and a physiological point of view, we have several benefits in our thinking processes, mental clarity, and also, like, focus and productivity. And finally, and this goes back to the self-awareness point that I was mentioning before, like, I got to know that actually for me is such a stress reliever doing physical activity. And when you feel challenged, when you feel a bit of pressure, you've heard many times from people, I went for a run and all in a sudden I was
Yeah.
feeling better. For me, it's the same with the gym. I go there, I get focused on something which is in there, which is maybe bench pressing or squatting. And after that adrenaline rush, I feel so much better mentally, and everything looks way clearer. So for me, it's very important to keep physical activity in my career.
Wow, this sounds so great, and I can definitely see the benefits. Also, even just incorporating a few workouts in your daily routine, just even once or twice a week, I think that helps massively. And it's very nice to also hear from you and all the things you have also studied around this. And I think it's then safe to say that actually being active inspires your proactivity at work. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I want to touch on what you just mentioned first of all, because you set your own pace. Like, my goal is not your goal and it's not anyone else's goal. So I think you have to incorporate what is comfortable for you as long as you are healthy, like, so I think there is a threshold. You need to try to keep yourself healthy, but after that it becomes a matter of passion and how much effort and commitment you have towards the discipline. No, so I think that finding a routine which is working for you is very important. And also related to what you mentioned, like, my fitness agenda definitely inspired my proactivity, because we also have to think not only work related tasks but like life related activity, like, so I think that it starts from us and not from work. So it's not that we have to fit ourselves in the work agenda, but it's vice versa. So I think that you have to establish your priorities, and definitely career is one for me, because otherwise we wouldn't be here talking probably. But the real question for me is, how can you make marginal adjustment to your routine in order to increase your likelihood to be successful in these priorities? And being physically active, it inspires me and it allows me to to make this adjustment in my daily life, which is at work, which is in my other priorities, which could be like being present for my family, traveling, can be outdoor activities, or whatever it is for me or for you. So I think that definitely this proactivity is inspired by the fact that I'm active,
Yeah.
and I feel more able to execute and fulfill what are these priorities.
Wow, that sounds great, and it kind of makes me think that, from my impression from what you're telling us, is that your fitness goals or your overall health, it's really a motivator for you to succeed also in your job and to be also better in your life overall, just to maintain this healthy living, right?
I think that there is actually a lot of parallelism between sport and career in this sense, because I think that sport is very objective in the sense, not that all of us are equal, because obviously it depends a lot on genetics, but I think that it's very meritocratic in the sense that the more effort you put, the more you can be successful and fulfill and actualize your genetic potential. So you can be the best version of yourself, not the best overall, but the best version you could possibly be. And I think that this is a pattern of discipline and consistency that sport has given me. And I was able to apply also in my, like, working life and my daily tasks. So I give you an example. When you have a very complex challenge at work, you have to break it down in very small pieces that you can execute on a daily basis in order to get closer to your end goal. If you only look at the big challenge, which can be, for me, the competition, which is 6 months ahead, or for a person running 100-meter dash in less than 12 seconds, I don't know. You don't have to look at the big goal and go from 0 to hero, but you have to break it down in different tasks. And I think that at work, I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's very similar, the approach. And this kind of sense of discipline and consistency has motivated me a lot. And another very important piece is, how do you deal with lows, with the moments which are the most challenging for you? Because obviously you're not at your best every day. In sport is the same. There are some days where I'm like, oh, like tonight, I'm going to go to the gym, and like, I'm not really feeling that I'm going to kill the workout, like I feel a bit down and everything. And maybe the workout is going to be actually bad, but that's okay, because you have to zoom out and look at the overall trajectory. And I think that work-wise is the same, because if you look, for instance, 1 year ago, and you look 1 year back and you look where you are now, and you ask yourself, am I proud of what I have achieved? Did I grow? And the answer is yes. It doesn't mean necessarily that every single day was good. In fact, I'm sure that there were days like during the last year that were quite challenging,
Yeah.
But what are you focusing on when you're looking 1 year back? You're focusing on the fact that actually your trend, your trajectory has brought you you to a better place that where you used to be. And why would you then focus on the low moments when you are pursuing an overall longer term positive trajectory at work? And I think that this kind of mentality is something that sport enables a lot, because you are aware that these moments can happen, but this doesn't mean that you have to give up and lose track and focus on your long term goal, you know. So these things have motivated a lot and shaped a lot my way of thinking at work.
This is a great perspective you're sharing with us, and I really love how you really took this example of sports and discipline and just the way that you're overall living your life and the mentality that you have towards your successes at work as well, because I think that's very important, and I can completely relate to you, because I think sports develops a lot of discipline and also teaches you, as you said, how to deal with difficult moments, with losses, with disappointing days, and to never give up, to keep on pushing, to keep on putting the effort. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's exactly what you mentioned. You know, like we don't have to strive for perfection, but rather for progress. So it's like over a longer period of time, the overall trajectory, and don't focus on the low days, because these are gonna happen. And sport shows you that actually, even though they happen, the overall trajectory is still positive. So yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Made by You podcast, brought to you by Mars. In this series, we'll talk about all the things related to Mars early careers, from advice and top tips to milestones and some surprising stories. So, if you're looking to grasp your future with both hands and make products that the world loves, search for a role at careers.mars.com. Well, as you said, we can speak about this topic for hours, but I want to get another question for you from our Will, and to use the opportunity to even dig deeper into your experience with sports and with your career.
So you're spinning again. Okay,
Of
go.
course, one more time.
Okay.
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 Okay. We have our next question,
Yeah.
and it was actually a question that I was quite curious and hoping that we will get out of the Will. And it is: what are the things that you have implemented in your day-to-day life at work that keep your physical health? I know you said a lot about your stationary bike, and I loved hearing how your manager was also very supportive of that. I have also been part of a lot of walk and talk meetings at Mars. I think that's something that Mars really supports. But please tell me more about how you have managed to do that.
Yeah, I think that when we talk about like our fitness level overall, is a bigger scope than only workouts. You know, like so it's overall a routine which is about food and nutrition. It is about working out, and is also about rest and disconnecting. So I think that what I've done was taking these three pillars and try to build my own routine in an actionable way on a daily basis. You know, like so when we're talking about walking or stationary bike meetings, for me, this is a moment that by self-analyzing myself, I understood that I need to disconnect from the screen time, you know, like being sitting on a desk and like looking at a screen for countless hours in a day. What you want is actually to find moments that give you energies and make you disconnect. So for instance, I do like a lot walking meetings. So then maybe if we're going to work together in the next months, we can incorporate those. Or I also like to, you know, like go to the office by walking rather than taking the bus. Why don't you incorporate this in your routine? Again, it gets to these marginal pieces of adjustments to your daily life that you can start taking from day A to day B and start being part of your routine, you know, like immediately. So I love going to a place where I have to eat, which is a bit farther away, so that I know that I'm taking my steps in. And this is just the first part. So the second part was about dieting and also, you know, sleep routine. So I am a big fan of meal prep. Again, like there is a lot of literature supporting that the biggest successful people in dieting are the ones that actually are the most proactive in meal prepping, because this prevents to make bad decision when you are maybe nervous, when you are like just seeing food, like that you would love. If I'm dieting for a competition, I'm not staying in a bakery all day long, because eventually I'm gonna give up. So I'm proactive. I'm preparing my food so that I know that I can stay on track. And again, the food is the fuel for your body and for your brain. So what you're getting in is allowing you to give out a better output when you are performing at work and also in your physical activity. So it's like a kind of a vicious cycle, as well as sleeping routine. Rest is important. So I tend to sleep like 8 hours per day. I know is ambitious, but also it's not only about the number of hours, but the quality of that. So be sure that you're sleeping, like in a dark room. Try to get like some mask if you're having lights and you're troubled to get some sleep, because it's about also the quality of your sleep. So try to get a very consistent sleeping routine, because that's very important. And finally, going back to the routine topic, I think I'm very passionate about the gym, but the real deal here is find an activity that you as a person like, because the gym is not the only one. I don't like running. I would never be able to build a routine around running because I don't like it. So is find a physical activity that you like and that actually you look forward to doing when you are finishing with work, because you want to do that, because it enables you to fulfill and self-actualize in a pursuing some goal around it. Like, so you like running, go run. You like swimming, go swim. You like the gym, come with me to the gym. But it's not the gym itself. It's about something that you can incorporate in your daily life because you love doing it.
That's a great way of putting it, and I love the fact that you are really encouraging, like, all of these advices that you have given are something that all of us, I guess, can incorporate, or at least some of them, into our day-to-day life. And I trust that, as you have shared with us before, that will increase our productivity, will be a good start for more inspirational day, for feeling better, having more energy, performing better at work. And it's great that you said that this all of these things you're doing while also building your career at Mars. So I think that only proves that it's a great also place for you to combine both. And I'm super, super happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you mentioned. Like I'm very much against the concept of from zero to hero, because this is proven to fail and is not sustainable. I'm much more a fan of what can you incorporate and make it an habit in your daily life. So I'm not saying that if you were walking a 1,000 step per day, you have to walk 20,000 step per day. That's not realistic. That's not feasible. That's not sustainable. What I'm telling you is, if you're taking the elevator to go to your office, start taking the stairs. It's something. It's small, but is actionable starting from today. And if you add up all of these small things over time, they will make a huge difference in the quality of life, in your productivity, and the way you feel.
I think after this episode, I'll sign up for the gym, and I'm sure most of the people who are also listening.
Yeah, see you there. I see you there.
But Edo, thank you so much for this amazing episode, and for sharing your experience, sharing your career path, and how did you really incorporate this with your fitness goals, with really setting the pace for success in both sides. I'm sure everyone who was having any doubts about whether they can maintain this balance, it's hopefully now have no doubts that they can do it, and they have supportive environment to actually do so. Again, we can totally make another episode from your stationary bike sometime.
Definitely, would be happy to do that.
But in the meantime, thank you again so much for this episode.
Was my pleasure, and actually kudos to you, Danny, for setting this up. It's amazing what you're doing, and I'm glad to be part of that. And I hope it can be of help for anyone.
I'm sure it will.